This conference will now be recorded.
Alright, so what I'm going to discuss today, some few important things on this Databricks PySpark core. So what exactly a data frame? Already we have discussed. A data frame is a distributed collection of the rows under named columns. Simply, it represents as a table of the data with rows and columns. So what we are doing, whatever the data we are reading, that we are assigning into a data frame, the data frame contains rows and columns over here. It is a kind of a table structure. And earlier to the data frames, we have RDDs. RDD also somehow similar like your data frame, but that is not storing your data like a table structure. So a data frame is a distributed collection of the data organized into named columns and rows. It is conceptually equal to a table in the relational database. Alright, and your data frame contains some schema. Schema means structure, right? And also it is optimized automatically while you are going to query the data from this data frame. Okay, and also it is more faster, and it is also creating aggregated statistics on the large data sets. But when you are coming to the RDD is a resilient distributed data set. Means resilient means immutable. Immutable means cannot be modified once you are creating. Similar like a data frame, you can create a RDD, but once you are creating the RDD, you cannot modify that. That's the behavior of the RDD. It is a immutable. Fault tolerance. It is a fault tolerance. That means fault tolerance refers to the ability of the system, computer, network, cloud cluster, continuing the operations without interruption when one or more of its components fail. Understand? So RDD, even it got failed, somehow the system structure got failed, then it is going to continuing the still the operations. Okay, distributed because it is going to distribute across the multiple clusters. So this is what the architecture of your Spark, right? There are so many worker nodes, right? Sorry, driver nodes, and worker nodes. One driver node is going to distribute your work. So your data will be distributed among multiple machines, and it doesn't contain any schema or the structure, right? You can convert a RDD into a data frame. Once you are moving from RDD to the data frame, you cannot roll back. So no inbuilt optimization to your RDD, and it is slower in the performance. That is the reason we are using a data frames. So how to create a simple data frame? To create a simple data frame, so what is the data and what is the structure? What is the structure? The schema structure you can able to define over here, and you can create a data frame. So let's create this data frame. So simply go over here. Let's create a cluster first. Go to the compute, and I want to remove this cluster. Instead of reactivating, creating a new cluster is more faster. E classes cluster. Create a cluster. Then now you can go to the notebook. I will create a new notebook. E classes batch 54 Python. This is the cluster I'm going to use, and click on create. some data as well. Okay, so when I'm defining this structure, if you observe here, I have used a structure type function and structure field. So structure field is going to define the column name, data type. Okay, and this is about uh, truncation, true or false. Okay, and also I'm going to define the data. So see here, I have a first name column, middle name, last name, ID, gender, salary, 6 columns. So this is the data I'm going to assign over here. For first column, first name Ram, and middle name Boyapati, and sorry, first name, last name, and ID. Okay, I think we forgot middle name. Middle name I'm just keeping space. Okay, and gender, what is the salary. So then after we are going to keep the data into a data frame. So simply I'm going to take this data frame equal to how to create a data frame. To create a data frame by using the above structure and the data, you can define this one. Data frame, any name you can give, equal to spark dot create data frame. By using this create data frame, we can. So what is the data you are going to take? The data already I have defined here in this object variable. What is the schema? The schema I have defined over here. Okay, so simply you can able to run this one. Click OK. Cluster is running. Run the cell. Cluster is running, right? Restart the cluster. Right, so it has created. Now I'm going to run this command. Let me copy this code. Right, now it is executing. So I'm just creating a simple data frame. So there was some error, invalid syntax. Here you don't require this comma. Remove it. Now we can execute. First, let me execute only the above part. Then we will understand where is the error. Right, so the error is in here only. Okay, let me do one thing. So simply I will create one columns over here. Instead of making, there is something issue. How to create this one? Just
Ram, after string type, there is extra space in first line.
okay. No. Okay, so this is the schema I'm defining, and this is the data for the schema, and I'm creating a data frame. So simply you can able to run the cell. Why still? Let me try this one. case sensitivity. First name, okay. Last name, okay. And country, okay. And state. Yeah, let's find right. Let me take a simple data frame. Okay, so you need to import this struct type, whatever the struct field and the struct type functions. Let me execute now. So that is the reason it was throwing error. Yeah, now it has created. So from the PySpark.sql.types, you need to import these functions to run over here. Import struct type and struct field functions and the string type function and integer type functions over here, whatever the functions. From the PySpark library, SQL, we have separate library for the SQL dot types. So now I have data like this and I have a structure over here. So by using this spark dot create data frame, data equal to data to schema equal to whatever the schema we have defined. So whatever the data you have worried over here, so whatever the data you have created along with the structure and data, that we are going to create a data frame. We are creating a data frame over here. So once the data frame has created, then you need to print the schema. You need to print the schema. So then we are going to, if you are printing the schema, then that will display this one, whatever the first name and data type, and whether it is nullable or not. So that is going to display whether it is true or false, whether it is allowing null values or not, and data frame dot show. So if you are going to display the data, you can able to display over here. And then after, so I'm going to perform few more transformations over here, like yeah. So this is how we can create a data frame. Let me create this data frame whatever we have here. So instead of using this code, but these functions are mandatory. So these functions are mandatory. This you need to execute. Let me create now. Invalid schema. Oh yeah. If you observe here, let me run cell. What's the mistake here? Okay, when you are writing in multiple statements,
It seems backward slash.
yeah, okay, let me execute now. Let's compare. We need to put over here. Let's execute. We need to remove the comma here. Let's compare what's the mistake we were doing. Let's compare the data first. Data we have comma separator. Okay, the data seems good. And coming to this third file, oh yeah, you need to put one more slash over there. Now I will go in these two. Let me run this. Right. So this is the issue. Earlier it was here, right? Now we need to keep in one place. So whenever that you are splitting into multiple columns, I mean multiple lines, then you need to put this slash to go forward and execute and treat as a same command. Okay, perfect. So it has executed. Now we need to create a data frame. So data frame equal to spark dot create data frame. Okay, create data frame. Data frame equal to spark dot create data frame. And you need to define this one. Now we can run it. So this is a caps letter data and this is a caps letter schema. Okay, so this is how we can able to create a schema as well. You can create a first name, middle name, last name, ID, gender and salary over here. All right, so let me copy this code and keep over here. So what is this struct type and struct field in PySpark? So we have used this struct type and struct field, right? So basically the struct type is and struct type and struct field are classes are used to specify the schema to a data frame. Okay, creating complex columns and specifying what is the column name, column data types, whether the value is a boolean or null value. So you need to you are going to define a schema to your data frame, and that situations we are using struct type and struct field over here. Okay, so how to read a data from a file? Last time already we have discussed data frame equal to spark dot read dot whatever the format of the file, whether it is a CSV or Parquet, and path of the file you need to specify. If you want to display the schema of your data frame dot schema name, print schema you can able to display. And how to display limited rows and truncate characters in data frame. Limited number of rows means, let's say for example, here you can see there are 2 rows we have. When you are going to show the data, you want to restrict the data to only 1 row or 2 rows, something like that, then you need to put data frame dot show how many rows you want to display? 1 comma truncate. So truncate means when you have more number of values in a characters in a specific column, then if you want to restrict only for 25 characters, something like that, column values 25 characters or 2 characters only you want to display, then you can able to specify the truncate. How many number of characters you want to display? I want to display 2 characters only. Then it is going to display 2 characters. Let's see how it is going to display. See here, here we have a RAM, we have a VHAN, right? So what we are doing, we have a RA and last name as a PU. Only 2 characters it is restricting over here. Truncate 2 characters only. How many rows it is displaying? Only 1 row it is displaying. So if I want to display 2 rows, then you can maintain as a 2 rows over here. Clear? Okay. So now this is how you can able to restrict the number of records, limit the number of records in your data frame when you are displaying. And the next thing is, when I am going to display the columns here, see it is displaying all the list of columns. When you are writing data frame dot show, then it is displaying all the list of columns. But my requirement is, I want to display only few columns. So what are those columns you want to display? You can specify this list of columns. Let me display only 2 columns, first name and last name over here. First name and last name. So data is available in this data frame. So that data frame dot, you need to use a select command. You need to use a select function. What are the columns you want to select over here? You need to specify those column names. I want to select first name, last name columns dot show. Okay. Alright. Simply you can go to the execute over here. First name, we don't have a column. Specify the exact column name. There is no space in between. Last name, there is no space over here. Okay. Data frame dot select function. Cannot resolve first name, last name, given inputs, first name, gender, last name, salary, projection, first name, last name, logical objective. Okay, so we need to import this select function as well. Cannot import the name select from the PySpark SQL types. Then you need to import from the PySpark data SQL. From PySpark SQL, import select. Okay. Trailing comma not allowed with. Remove this comma. Python PySpark. Okay. So we have different libraries. We need to select function in PySpark. Yeah, you need to import like this. Import Spark session. Okay. what's the error is let's take the same copy of the data. Okay, let's use this function. Okay, what's the mistake we did? Yeah, so we need to specify data frame dot select data frame. What is the column name? And let me, for example, if I'm giving data frame 1, then do we need to write down data frame 1 dot select, and so here also you need to put what is your data frame. So from which data frame, which columns you want to take, you need to specify. Okay, so this is how only these two columns we are selecting and displaying over here. Okay, these two columns we are selecting and displaying. So the syntax I can change it to this one. df1 dot select. This is also df1. Okay, so there is one function collect and select. Select function we understand is going to select a few number of columns, retrieving all the elements of the data set from all nodes to the driver node. Okay, so the main difference between collect and select is a transformation that returns a new data frame. When you are using the select, it is going to retrieve a new data frame, but collect is an action that returns the entire data set is an array to the driver. Let me, for example, whatever the data frame I have, so that data frame I'm going to call over by using a collect function. df1 dot collect. Let's see what it will return. See here, this is a select function result. This is a collect function result. Everything it is going to return clearly. It is a row. Under that row, what is the column name? What is the data? Middle name, what is the data? Last name, what is the data? ID, what is the data? So a collect function is going to retrieve all the elements of your data frame. We should use this collect function on a smaller data sets usually after applying a filter condition or group by kind of things. Retrieving larger data sets results in out of memory error, because when you are going to write down this collect function on the large data sets, it will throw this kind of out of memory errors. Okay, out of memory errors it will come. There are some other things like partitioning with column function and with column rename functions. There are several more functions we have. So those functions I will discuss tomorrow. Once those completed, I will discuss about the Delta Lake concept. Delta Lake concepts, and once that is completed, so you need to explore Spark yourself. That is something like our sequel, how you are learning SQL Server, right? Similarly, you need to learn this PySpark yourself. In this training, we are not going to teach everything on the PySpark. We are just giving you some overview about the general functions what we are discussing over here. I will share this notepad to everyone, so you can use this practicing purpose. Okay. I will share this notepad to everyone. Yeah, migration from SQL to Azure we will discuss in the next further sessions. Right, let's meet tomorrow. Thank you.